Welcome to One-on-One, the Daily Items weekly digital program featuring Susquehanna Valley newsmakers interviewed by Daily Item reporters. Today's guest is Bucknell University International Relations Department Chair Zhiqun Zhu, interviewed by Rick Dandes.
Hey, come closer. Word has it Sunbury Motors is preparing for their biggest truck sale ever. Pick from Central PA's largest selection of new Ford trucks with savings up to $16,350 during Sunbury Motors' massive September truck and SUV sale. Over 45 2019 Ford Escapes starting at just $18,180. Four-wheel drive 2019 Ford EcoSports are slashed to as low as $17,320. SMC has up to $8,000 off 2019 Ford Edges and up to a whopping $13,000 off Ford Expeditions.
Welcome to another edition of One-on-One. My name is Rick Dandes, and our guest today is Zhiqun Zhu, Professor of Political Science and the Chair of the International Department at Bucknell University. Thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thank you, Rick. It's my pleasure.
You have written a book about China, and we will get to that. But first, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself?
Okay. I came to Bucknell in 2008 as the endowed chair in East Asian politics. Mm-hmm. So this is my 11th year at Bucknell University. So I teach courses on East Asian politics, Chinese politics, U.S.-Asian relations, U.S.-China relations, and I do research in these areas as well. I originally came from China, mm-hmm. but I've lived in the United States for over 25 years. So that's.
And here you are.
Yes, here am I, and still enjoy the wonderful surrounding here.
And I can't think of a more relevant foreign policy topic these days than U.S.-China relationships. It's in the news every day.
Yeah.
So let's start by saying, as I understand it, Chinese leaders have been transparent about the fact that they seek to restore the country to a position of great global power, economically and militarily, by the mid-century.
Yeah.
To what extent are the U.S. and China competing ideologically today and economically today?
Yeah. Well, that's a big question.
Yes, very good.
Right. So yes, as you mentioned, China has this Chinese dream. So by mid-century, China plans to restore its historical greatness. Mm-hmm. And of course, on the other hand, we have President Trump here, America first. So you see the potential problem here. America will maintain its dominant position, and China is rising, and China wants to become the number one nation, at least in Asia Pacific. Mm-hmm. So you will see potential clashes between the two major powers. And I think the current trade war is the demonstration of this potential rivalry. It's already taking place now. And so if the two countries, the two major powers, cannot manage their relationship well, conflict is possible down the road.
Talking about the trade war,
mm-hmm.
Who has the upper hand, do you think, in a trade war, the U.S. or China? And which country stands to lose more?
Like any war, you cannot really claim that one side wins, the other side loses. I think both sides will lose, will suffer. Even let's say President Trump will claim that, well, we will win, China will lose. Probably it's going to be a Pyrrhic victory. In the Chinese saying, maybe you kill 1,000 of your enemies, but you will lose 800 of your own soldiers. Is that a victory? No. So I think both sides will suffer. That's why I don't think the so-called trade war is going to solve the problems. I think a more pragmatic approach is to sit down, come to the negotiating table, and achieve some compromises. We have to really cooperate as the two major economies. This war, this fighting. To be the number one, is not going to work. So they have to be more realistic and seek accommodation and find a mutually acceptable solution to all the problems they have.
Right now, they both seem to be pretty firm, standing. Maybe
Yes.
they're posturing on each.
Yeah, I mean that also has something to do with the personality of the two strong leaders. President Trump, he's not going to give in. I think. Well, you never know. He's unpredictable, so anything can happen. President Xi, on the other hand, in China, he's very tough, and I don't think he's going to just give in. And I think you have two strong leaders now. That complicates the whole picture. That's why the relationship is going to be very difficult.
Okay. Something that I think our viewers can relate to here. Now, I often buy inexpensive clothes for myself at stores like Target and Walmart. Will the cost of our clothing and other things go up because of the tariff?
I'm pretty sure, yes, they will go up, especially coming the holiday seasons, Thanksgiving, Christmas. When you go shopping, when you buy those gifts, for family and friends, most likely you will find that many of the stuff you want to buy are going to be more expensive than last year. But it's very simple because you impose tariffs on those imports from China.
And the importer pays for the tariff.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So the prices are high. So you still want to buy them so that you can sell them here. So you have to pay those prices. But the importers are going to shift those costs to the customers. So it will be the customers who eventually have to pay the higher cost.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're right. Next time you go to Walmart or Target, most likely you will see rising prices for these daily products.
Okay. Has the tariff affected the average Chinese consumer yet?
Oh yes. I think that just like it here, certain prices on certain products have risen. Most recently, for example, the pork price is very high in China, like 40-50% higher than last year. Not just the price, but also the economic growth rate. It's slowing down. The official target is 6.5%, but we're not sure whether China can reach that target. But also you have growing unemployment. Some of the manufacturing factories that sell their products to the United States have been forced to close.
So neither side is really...
No, neither side is going to win. So I think, again, both leaders, President Xi and President Trump, have to realize that the war is not going to work. It's going to hurt both sides. I think a better approach is to sit down and find a mutually acceptable solution.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. We're speaking with Zhiqun Zhu, the professor of political science at Bucknell. And I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name.
No, you did well.
We'll be right back.
Hey, come closer. Word has it Sunbury Motors is preparing for their biggest truck sale ever. Pick from Central PA's largest selection of new Ford trucks with savings up to $16,350 during Sunbury Motors' massive September truck and SUV sale. Over 45 2019 Ford Escapes starting at just $18,180. Four-wheel drive 2019 Ford EcoSports are slashed to as low as $17,320. SMC has up to $8,000 off 2019 Ford Edges and up to a whopping $13,000 off Ford Expeditions.
Welcome back to One-on-One. We're speaking with Zhiqun Zhu, professor of political science and the chair of the International Relations Department at Bucknell.
Thank you.
You have written a book.
Yes.
And why don't you show people what the book cover looks like? And
This is the new book I just published. It was released over the summer by World Scientific Publishing in Singapore, but they also have an office in New Jersey, China, and London. So I'm very proud.
Tell me a little bit about the book and how long it took you to write it.
Well, the book itself, it took me about a year and a half to complete. But the content in the book covers the whole period of last decade, from 2008 to 2018. So that's why the subtitle of the book is China's Foreign Policy, 2008 to 2018, a critical decade. Essentially, the book is about what happened during that period, during that critical decade when China emerged as a major economic, political, diplomatic, and military power. And what are the challenges and opportunities associated with China's rise. So the book is divided into three parts. The first part is introduction. I briefly discuss major challenges, both domestic and international, in China's foreign policy. Then I have a chapter about recent publications in both English and Chinese. So I have this annotated bibliography of recent publication about Chinese foreign policy. So that's first part. Second part actually is a collection of my short policy commentaries and short academic writings in the past decade, which cover major issues in China's foreign policy, such as U.S.-China relations, the North Korean issue, China's relations with Japan, with India, the Taiwan issue, and China's involvement in global governance. So that's a selection of the previously published short essays. That's part two. Part three has three chapters about current and future challenges China faces or will face, including the Belt and Road Initiative, and China's growing investment in the West, including the United States. And the final chapter is about China's soft power. China is trying to promote its international image as its material power continues to grow. But there is a mismatch here. Its growing material power and its relatively weak soft power. They don't match. So I discuss the challenges China faces in promoting soft power and also offer some policy prescriptions, what China can do to improve its overseas image. So, that's what the book is about. Yeah.
Well, you bring up so many topics. I wish this video thing could be for 5 hours.
We can talk about 5 hours.
No, but it's not. Let me just end by asking a very basic question that I think people want to know.
Yeah.
Are the U.S. and China friends or foes, or somewhere in between?
Yeah. First of all, I don't think United States and China are enemies. From a historical, a cultural perspective, they are or they can be friends. Actually, China and the United States were allies during World War II, as you may remember. We joined forces in our struggle against the Japanese. Yeah. And of course, after 1949, China became communist. So ideologically, they belong to different camps. But even during the heyday of the Cold War, when President Nixon went to China, the relations started to improve. So these political, ideological differences have not prevented the two countries from cooperating, working together, become friends. So they are friends. They can be friends, even during difficult days. However, in economic terms, they are competitors. Some Americans even think that China is a threat because they accuse China of stealing U.S. technology,
intellectual property.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's a threat. But I don't think the United States officially calls China an enemy. So to answer your question, are China and the United States friends or foes? There's no easy answer to that question. Maybe as you suggest, maybe something in between. I think what we're going to see in the future is more competition between the two countries. But you also see cooperation between the two countries. So competition and cooperation will be the two trademarks of the relationship. So it's not easy to say whether they are friends or enemies. They do cooperate on many issues, both regional and global issues, but they also compete in economic, sphere, strategically and science, technology. So you do see that aspect of a relationship. So it's going to be a very complex, multi-layered relationship. I don't think we can simply call them friends or enemies. It's just a very complicated, big power relationship that is probably unprecedented in history. Because you have these two almost equally powerful nations, and they may not like each other, but they still have to work with each other. And I think for their own national interests, again, I would say cooperation is the only way moving forward.
Well, maybe that'll be the subject of your next book, fellas.
Yeah, I will write about that. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We've been speaking to Zhiqun Zhu at Professor Bucknell. Thank you so much for some very interesting conversation.
It's really my pleasure, Rick.
We'll be back with another edition of One on One.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching One on One. Be sure to tune in next week for another edition.